guys, and welcome to the Houston Apartment Association's micro webinar series, Expert Exchange, where we address real questions with expert answers. My name is Morgan Taylor. I'm the editor of Abode magazine with the Houston Apartment Association, and I will be moderating the session today. Our host, however, is HAA Vice President at Large, Tracy Yoder with Barvin, and today is Wednesday, June 16th. We are interviewing Ryan Weiss with Crestmark Construction Services on hurricane preparation. Before we get started, I'm going to review some housekeeping items. This series is designed to offer quick 30-minute sessions, but we will stay on as long as necessary to answer all of your questions. You may ask your questions in the Zoom chat box or in the comments on Facebook Live. If you can't stay on for long, you can find the session on our YouTube channel, HAA TV, later today. Once we answer all the questions we curated, we will get to your questions. A quick disclaimer, we are not public health experts nor attorneys. This webinar is provided for general information purposes only and does not constitute legal or professional advice. No member should act on the basis of any material contained in the webinar without obtaining proper legal or professional advice specific to their situation. Please consult with your management company or property owner to address specific issues and to form your own company guidelines. With that, I'm kicking it off to Tracy. Oh, Tracy, you gotta unmute. There we go.
Hi guys, thank you Morgan so much. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're so excited to have our expert Ryan Weiss with Crestmark Construction Services here with us today. Just to let you know a little bit about Ryan's background, he's the Vice President for Crestmark Construction Services with 27 years of multifamily experience. He started in the industry as a make-ready tech, then became a leasing agent, then an assistant manager, and eventually made it to the supplier side in flooring. Ryan was in flooring for 20 years before he was recruited to work for Crestmark 4 years ago. Last year, Ryan won the HAA Honors Awards 2020 Supplier Partner of the Year, and this year he is the co-chairman of the HAA Ambassador One Society. Ryan is also a proud volunteer for the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, where he has volunteered for 16 years. Wow, Ryan, what an impressive bio. We talked earlier about the different facets of the industry that you've been in, so I know you bring some great perspective. So we're very, very excited to have you today. Thank you. And we're going to talk about a really important topic, especially since we enter hurricane season, hurricane preparation. I mean, NOAA's Climate Prediction Center is already predicting an above normal hurricane season. Hurricane season officially started on June 1st, and already there's a tropical disturbance in the Gulf that has a 70% chance for development later this week. So obviously it's something that we're already watching very, very closely. So Ryan, for our first question, hurricane season is already here. Like I mentioned earlier, it started June 1st. Our coastal cities have already experienced a lot of rain this month. The memory of Hurricane Harvey is still lingering. How can we be prepared for flooding?
Well, biggest thing is, one of the things I would start out with that you can start before anything even happens is get with your insurance company and find out the parameters of when, if, or when it's going to happen, or when it does happen, what they're, expecting you to do. Are they expecting you to wait around until somebody comes out? They're expecting you to take pictures. For us on the management side, the supplier side, our main concern is to take care of our clients. You being our client, and then your client being, your leasing, the person's leasing your units. So obviously we don't want to wait around for an insurance guy. So something you can do now, like when you get off of this, webinar, call your insurance company, find out the parameters of what you're going to do on that, and be prepared. Have meetings with your on-site staff. See what their role is in this whole, scheme of things. Obviously, a lot of things change on the fly in the industry, but if everybody has a role and everybody has a task of doing something, nobody's got to figure out, hey, did that get done or not get done because that particular person. And if you have meetings ahead of time to prepare, I think it'll be a lot easier for on-site to, comprehend what they need to do out there. So no guessing, really. Plenty of pictures, from now until whenever. You should always have pictures of any of your information or your stuff, but plenty of pictures. That helps the insurance and it helps us figure out how we need to put it back or whatever it might be, need to do. Securing important documents. I mean, a lot of this stuff, if you see that we're going to lose power. You're not going to be able to access it, through just typing up on your computer or whatever. And your battery's only going to last so long on your laptop. So maybe take some pictures of it on your phone, some important documents, things like that, stuff that you need to know, passwords and things to help you and just get prepared to, to move on a quickness. And then I would also say, put some survival stuff together. When I say survival, not that we're going to be out in the wilderness, but put some survival stuff together that you can throw in a backpack, extra batteries, things that you don't think of that, are accessible right now, but things that you might need if we have no power or water or things like that, like we just experienced with the freeze as well.
Now that's some great points, Ryan, that you brought up. And if I could just add to that, I mean, I think one of the most important things as far as the insurance policies and, notifying, your carriers, it's really interesting. I've worked for some larger management companies that have these, large risk management departments and, have a lot of, risk management policies on preparing for natural disasters. And then you might have some small companies too, that, sometimes your insurance companies have a lot of great preparation information that you can send out to your residents, to let your, teams get involved. So your insurance companies can be a great source for that type of information as well. All right. So my next question for you, Ryan, is following a natural disaster, a fraudulent activity usually spikes. How can we verify suppliers who work to remedy water and wind damage?
Well, I'll tell you what, obviously HIA is the best source you can use for this particular part. But you guys see it all the time. I mean, a hailstorm happens in your neighborhood. I don't know how many trucks you're going to have roll through with a ladder on the back saying, hey, let us check your roof out. We can get you a free roof. You got to be careful with that because 9 times out of 10, the stuff like that goes on. They're not licensed. They're not vetted by HIA. There's no information. These guys come in and they're like, hey, we can take care of you right now. And sometimes it sounds too good to be true kind of deal. It usually is. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm not saying there's not guys that have started up like that here in the industry, but you got to be careful because there's really no way to check that stuff out. Like you can go online and see a license, or you can even see a contractor's license. Doesn't mean that they're legit or going to stay with it. I mean, I've seen too many times that contractors have just rolled through and management companies are like, I just got to get something done, and they start using this guy, and then next thing 6 months down the road, they're still got blue tarps on the roofs and nothing's being done. And then, they run away with half of your insurance money that you had to pay them up front because they're not one of your, your people right now. So, another thing with preparing, I would say get with the people that you use now and then have a backup because we're all going to be extremely busy. And trust me, we want to help everybody that we can, but you got to, we got to set the expectations up for you guys right now. I mean, we're going to jump on them as soon as they roll in, as soon as they call. So if you're preparing me all right now, right, you're calling me, Tracy, and you're saying, hey, Ryan, when this thing happens, I think the worst properties are going to hit is going to be this way or that way. And we're all going to have our phones on 24 hours a day. So it doesn't matter if you're working, we're working. We're watching that storm at home, being as a GC or natural disaster, recovery guys. So don't feel scared to call us because we're waiting on that call. I know at my company, all my guys go on as soon as we have some kind of things pop up on the TV saying it's storm coming. Everybody goes on call. So not one guy doesn't have his phone on 24 hours a day until that goes away and then the next one comes up. But definitely watch who you're using and then ask us. I mean, if we can't get to you, we want somebody in the industry to be able to. I don't have a problem passing you on and saying, hey, by the way, these guys are good. They're smaller. They're just starting up. But at least they're vetted in the industry. At least they're part of HIA. And what makes our industry strong is that we use people that are part of our industry. That helps us out big time on both sides of it. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and having the supplier partnership with the management companies is always important, and obviously heightens during tough times like this and other natural disasters. And if I could just add on to from the management side of it. One thing that we have done that's been successful, and I highly recommend, and this kind of goes into some of the pre-preparation, is making sure your staff's emergency contact list, and everybody has a list of their contractors and cell numbers. And to your point, Ryan, people's phones can go out and things of that nature. So everybody needs to kind of be on call and be on watch. So and having that HAA supplier list handy. And knowing all the suppliers to be able to call, but to definitely, prepare beforehand is huge. So that's a great point that you bring up. For the next question, Ryan, who should we call to help with cleanup or build back?
I mean, a lot of your GCs, a lot of your disaster guys are going to have those same kind of crews that obviously we can't fix these things right now. So those guys turn into a different kind of crew. Just like when we went through the freeze, there wasn't enough plumbers to keep up with freeze, so we grabbed AC guys that run power too. So, and that's what's great about our industry here, is that we don't sit around and wait and say, what can you do for me? We're figuring it out how we can make it better. And if I got guys that normally do exterior work, well, I'm not doing exterior work right now. They're going to turn around and turn into cleanup guys. But also have other numbers that you could have, like. Make sure you have your police and your fire numbers, your tech dot numbers. You're going to see here in a little bit. Have those on paper, because you'd think it'd be as easy as calling 911. Well, you don't want to flood 911 with a bunch of calls. Right. There's 211. There's to find food and water. There's 311 for information. So get on your computer to look and prepare and get your guys a list. Like one of the cool things that we do at rodeo is we have a list that we usually carry around our neck on different times. It has every important number that you can think of, laminated, ready to go. That might be something that you can put in your office, and every guy has it on site that needs it. I mean, but no matter what they're doing at the time, whatever you need to happen, they're going to turn into that person, especially in the GC world.
Well, and let's not forget about the HA buyer's guide, right? I mean, like I mentioned, having that list handy, and that can turn into, especially if power goes down and you can't get to the internet and go online. Let's not forget about just having that hard copy, even the buyer's guide. It's been a huge source for me on lots of different occasions. So that's great feedback, Ryan. As far as, go ahead.
One thing I will add to that too, while we're out there busy and scrambling and we're trying to get you guys taken care of, we ran into us a little bit on the free side, is that we're all out in the field working. So you got a pipe that's busted right now or whatever's going on, it's hard for us to give you here's what it is price. So you got to be able to work with us on that too. I know all the DC guys out there probably think, thank God he said that, because the rest of us were running around each other going, I can get it done. I've got guys that can do it right now. It just depends on what it is. So take that in consideration. We know you guys are going to need bids. That's another reason why you should use people that you used before, because you know you're going to take care of it. We're not going anywhere. If we were a one-time guy, we might give it to you, but we're here. We're here to stay. We're here to take care of you guys. There's no gouging. There was no gouging what I heard in the freezing. So there's definitely we're here to take care of you guys. So take into consideration that if we got guys to go right now, those might not be the big guys, but those are the work guys. So, we'll get you the information you need, but, work with us on that too and be prepared, because if we don't have any computers or anything, it's going to be hard for us to give you a bid. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I know I spoke about the HA buyer's guide, but, the website itself has so many great, different bits of information that, even part of the preparation of being able to go in and, printing some of this information just ahead of time. So you have it, everybody has it, even, at their home offices, a lot of people are still working remotely, things of that nature. So that's some great advice. And coming from the management side, I get real interested on questions like this, because obviously you're a contractor, well-respected contractor. How can our on-site teams, Ryan, better prepare in order to expedite hurricane-related repairs? So from your perspective, what advice can you give us, all the management folks, to help make it a more smooth process in the aftermath?
Yeah, for sure. So going back to a couple of these ago, the biggest thing you can do for us is not have us guessing on what we're going to do out there. If you got pictures, or if you got somebody that When we roll out to your property, have it ready to go, whatever it might be, like, hey, here's what it is, here's what I needed done, or if you can't be on the property, maybe send us pictures or things like that to communicate. The more information you guys have for us, the less guessing we have to get there. We know you're going to be spread out as well, so we might not, we might miss each other, but I'm going to take care of something. If you say, go to apartment 101 and take care of it, well, I'm going to be going to 101 with my guys going, okay, I know it's messed up, but what does she want to do? So the more information you can give us, the easier it is for us to either send the right people or roll the right guys. I mean, it helps out big time. So I would just say communication between whoever's going to be your point guy, and maybe have one point person on property. Who's going to be making the decision? Is it the manager who's going to be doing this one, or is it the maintenance tech's going to be doing this one? Because everybody's going to have to play their role in this situation because it's going to be out of control. So give us a point of contact so that way we're not, bugging you guys when you're on something else. But the more information we can get, the better for us when we roll up to a property. I mean, for sure.
That's great. So once the hurricane comes, right, we're all kind of hunker down stage. Obviously, not a lot is going on during an actual hurricane. It's really the aftermath. So, a property, does take on wind, water, other damage. I mean, as far as what's, if you can walk us through, Ryan, from your perspective, kind of the steps that need to be taken immediately following if we do have properties that have some significant damage.
So for you on the property itself, my first suggestion would be either roll some kind of video or roll as many pictures you can do, any kind of damage that you have, and then get on the phone as soon as you can with your insurance guy and find out what he wants you to do. Say, hey, look, I've got all these pictures, I've got these videos. Here's what it is. I know you've probably got 1,000 other customers, but we have all the documentation that you would take. Are you okay with us starting to do a build back? Are you okay with us starting to at least do the demo part? So pictures, documentation on all that stuff, get with your guy and have him approve, and not just have him approve you over the phone, but somehow maybe even shoot you a text so it covers yourself saying, well, this insurance guy told me that it would be fine to do this because sometimes they switch in the middle of a job and one might be harder on you than the other one and say, well, I'm not going to cover that because where does it say that we told you to do that? So I would definitely say cover yourself on that, whether it's a simple text or whatever it might be. Like for our conversation, you said go ahead and do the demo. You said go ahead and do the build back. So pictures, videos, get with your insurance guy, and then get with us. As the suppliers, the GCs, start getting on the phone and going, hey, here's what I got, and giving us I got 132 apartments down, I got 8 apartments down, and get that conversation going with us. So then we're going to start in our shops building what we need to build to take to you. So starts from the top, starts with you guys going, and soon safely on the street, all of us are going to get out there. As soon as we get out there safely and make it around, we will be out there as quick as possible. Now we have guys stationed on each side of Houston. So we're coming in like this instead of trying to drive across Houston. So we're going to stage some stuff at different places to help you guys. But documentation, communication, and then make sure you have the right people through the HA. Any questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, Ryan, you bring up a great point that just kind of triggered something, kind of taking me back to Harvey on, having people stationed in different areas of Houston and having supplies and things of that nature. I mean, Houston, as you know, is a huge city, right? And especially when we have something like a hurricane, we've seen it during flood events and aftermath where sometimes you just can't get to some properties. So I know from a management standpoint, what we've done is usually we have people that live across the city. We literally have, split up kind of the city in different quadrants. So immediately following, an event, we, number one, want to make sure that everybody's safe to be able to get to the properties to assess damage. If we have anybody living on site, obviously that's a great choice, but to, call the insurance company, as you said, first and foremost, but then, literally try and get as much as a full assessment in the beginning. So you're not piecemealing information to the insurance company and to the suppliers. hopefully from a supplier who would, I would think, would agree with that, instead of me calling Ryan 10 times on all these different issues. Walk the full property, try and do a unit by unit inspection and get a very comprehensive list to not only share with your insurance company, but also share with your suppliers to help. I would assume that would be a approach that you would like, and help streamline communication and get one phone call instead of 10 phone calls on a property.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, and it helps us out, because the easier you make it on us, the easier it is for us to get there and get for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, all of us have filled every call you have, but that's another reason why I say in the beginning, like right now, whoever your point of contact is, or whoever you're going to need, your normal guy that you're going to use and your backup guy that you're going to use. I mean, you're going to have to, I would call them down and say, hey, do you mind having my cell phone number in your phone so you can recognize? Because when the numbers are going to start flying out there, if we recognize and I see Tracy Yoder, I'm like, I got to answer that one. It's a random number. I'm going to answer it, but it might not be as fast, So it's one of those deals where get with us now while we're waiting, and get our numbers. And if you don't have our cell phone numbers, get on the HAA buyer's guide. Look up that stuff. It's all right there for you, and call and find out who's going to be your point of contact for this one. That's the main thing. And just know that you can rely on that person, and know that they're going to answer your call when you call, so.
And that's a great, I we get so many phone calls, and sometimes we don't recognize, the phone number. So having those names, and even the names of the companies in your phone is a great advice. Sure. I know, Brian, we talked a lot about, the HAA buyer's guide and the HAA website. As far as any other good resources for our on-site teams to get general hurricane information, do you have any recommendations?
So actually, what I do a lot of times, there's an on-site online one. It's gov.texas.gov/hurricane. So that one's the actual one that Governor Abbott puts out. It's got what to do before, what to do during, and what to do after. All the information that you need as far as numbers that you need, where to go, updates on what's going on, and he's going to be the one to tell us, yes, this is what it is. I mean, that's the person you're going to want to listen to. Whatever he has online, they update it constantly. It's got all the important phone call numbers on there. It tells you exactly who to call, not to flood 911. Here's the other numbers that you need. So I typically use that one. It also gives you a list of, what is the survival kit? What is, what are different things that I need to do? So it's kind of stuff that we reiterated right here, that you can go online to that particular one and get all the information from there as well. With an exception of our excellent HAA buyer's guide, you can't have that. And we should
Absolutely.
make a link to that.
Of course, that's the go-to. So Ryan, you touched a little bit earlier, which is great as far as not flooding 911 with emergencies and having some really important phone numbers like your police and fire. I love the idea of, making sure it's like laminated and every, maintenance person and staff member has it. Are there any other numbers that you can think of that we should have easy access to in the event of an emergency?
Definitely TxDOT to find out where you can drive and where you can't. TxDOT's going to be huge for you. And 211 is an actual food and shelter location. So maybe if you're in a, find out the closest food and shelter you're going to be closest to. Let's see, roadside assistance. You'd think, why would I need that one? Roadside assistance. And a lot of you guys, if you don't know, on the back of your license, there's a number that you can call for roadside assistance. It's right on the back of your license. So being broke down a few times, I figured that out the hard way. But if you're ever on a paid toll road, whatever happens to your vehicle is free. It's taken care of. You call that, tell them you're on a paid toll road. They'll come out and change your tire. They'll come out and do. So those are the things you're going to want to know. Things that you don't think of, like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. But something happens to you during the flood, your car gets, bogged out, don't drive in it kind of deal. And you did. If you're on a beltway, you're fine. I mean, everything's going to be taken care of. They'll take care of you. But TxDOT, I would say load your weather apps definitely to keep track of what's going on, to see where it's moving to. Police, fire, electric company, water company. See, wouldn't hurt to call your water company to see if it's safe to drink. because you never know what's going to happen during this deal. So.
And that's great information, Ryan. Thank you. And I have to say, as soon as we get done, I'm going to actually look at the back of my driver's license because I don't think I ever have. After all these years, I have learned something today. So I appreciate that. Morgan, that's all the questions that I had for Ryan. Do you have any questions from the viewers?
Yes, I actually do have a couple, and I myself have learned a lot on this session too. So, this might be a little bit of an overkill question, but, with Hurricane Harvey still kind of lingering on all of our minds, and we've just had so much rain, our coastal cities have taken on a lot of rain already in June. Is there anything, and I don't know if there's an answer for this, but to prepare for, the chance of flooding, is there anything, Ryan, you can think of from Harvey that you learned that would be really helpful to share?
We can only hold so much water at one time. But what I will tell you is just watching Houston work during Harvey, things that we learned that, one little thing could have helped it, cleaning your drains out in front of your house. Don't wait for the road crews to do that. Go out there and make sure it's not plugged up, because what plugs up at yours is going to back up into everybody else. Make sure your storm drains are all cleaned out. This would be a great time right now to check all your storm drains, on your properties, because if we can still get it flowing through, the problem is what happens. It comes so fast. One little thing blocks it up. That's all she wrote. Then it's going to be, up top. But if you take preparations now to check all your storm drains, check your gutters, from debris and everything. Those will be things that can help prep it. Don't wait for somebody to help you. Help yourself.
Right. Great advice. Okay. So this is a great question, and I think it will be helpful for our on-site teams to know the answer to this question now so that they can mentally prepare themselves and their residents. What particular materials or product delays are you currently being challenged with?
Wow. It's kind of taken a round. So like as soon as we catch up on one, obviously, appliances are still struggling. Wood has gone through the roof right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone through the roof right now. We've taken everything we had in surplus here and basically had shipped it, across the border to Louisiana to do stuff and then fix them up. And now back in Houston. So we're getting it from everywhere. So the materials, with everybody grabbing at the same thing and in 2x4s and plywood and everything, you're going to have a shortage. It'll come back around a little quicker than some of the things are, but main building materials right now, not only are they hard to get a hold of, but they're expensive to get a hold of. If you get a guy with a truck full of, plywood, see if he wants to come work with you, because that's gold right now. So that's big.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So another question, this is a little specific, but we would like to prepare our garage roof that is currently not properly waterproofed in a small section of the roof. What recommendations could Ryan provide for us?
If it's not prepped right now, I would have a roofer get out there right now to see what they could do. Maybe a lot of times what happens on the garage roofs, I've seen it happen, and they go straight shingle to plywood, where there's no membrane underneath, there's no waterproofing, and you don't realize it until something bad's happened. Unfortunately, those are things that need to be prepped into doing it before you actually get a roof. But if they're just looking to put a Band-Aid on it, depending on how big it is, obviously tarp it, and for right now, if it's going to happen anytime soon, or like I said, get with the roofer, get with a GC, and have somebody come out and look and see exactly how much it's going to cost to probably re-roof it, right? I would say. Right.
Sometimes those Band-Aids cause just bigger problems later down the road, right?
Yeah, and we don't mind doing them because we understand that budget numbers have to happen, but
right.
Nowadays you're like, oh, okay, no problem. It's not going to last, but we'll fix it.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I think that Let me just check Facebook. I think that's all the questions that our viewers have. If you guys have any last minute questions, this is your chance to go ahead and put those in the chat box. All right. Okay, well, Ryan, this was really, really, really informative. You know, this is going to be a crazy hurricane season. Hopefully, you know, the weather reports are wrong, but if they are not, absolutely the biggest thing I think we all learned from the winter storm was, you know, secure your supplier relationships and, you know, secure a backup supplier relationship. I think that was a great suggestion, Ryan. And talk to your, you know, your supplier partners. Who would you recommend if, you know, you guys are slammed and you guys can't get to me? Who would you recommend I use? And also, I think something we didn't really talk about today, but alerting your residents. I know you guys can only do so much in that regard, but I think if our residents, you know, are aware of the fact that their units can take on, you know, water damage or wind damage, and that, you know, they may be displaced for a short period of time or a long period of time, maybe that will, you know, help move things along quicker if that does happen. But, you know, Tracy, if you don't have anything else to ask Ryan, I say, you know, let's wrap up today.
No, I think we've covered a lot of great content. Ryan, obviously, thank you so much for your expertise and your feedback. It's been very, very helpful and educational. And I've learned a lot as well. So appreciate that. And obviously, thank you to the viewers as well. And just wishing everybody you know, a good season. And as Morgan said, let's hope that the forecasts are wrong and we get to kind of, you know, sneak by this hurricane season without a major event. But thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, and you know, if you guys are watching this session, you know, on YouTube later or on Facebook later, and you do want to ask Ryan a question, feel free to either email him or you can email myself. My email is mtaylor@haaonline.org, and I will be happy to forward that question to Ryan. And thank you, Ryan, for being our expert today. And thank you, Tracy, for being our host. You guys are fantastic. To our viewers, join us next Wednesday, July 21st, for a session on staffing, hiring, and recruiting. Until then, make it a great day.